What goes on, bro? This is what goes on, bro.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello, thank you for tuning in to Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Welcome to your news at noon. These are the top stories we're tracking. Government requests 1.8 million US dollars IDB loan to build strategy for economic transformation with oil wealth. Exxon wants 5 acres riverside facility on the west bank of Demerara to expand operations. Some Guyanese oil workers earn less than school cleaners, says GAU, and government still to finalize international law firm to revamp Guyana's oil framework, according to the Attorney General, and cases of dengue malaria surge in Cuyuni as area remains flooded for over a month. Meanwhile, Guyanese shot dead and wife injured in Venezuela. Laborer arrested after he confessed to chopping father to death. Stay tuned to stay informed.
Weak systems of governance and the absence of the rule of law both combine to form the perfect stage for corruption to flourish. As part of our anti-corruption fight at Kaieteur Radio, we invite you to join us every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. as we embark on a most needed quest to remove the tentacles of corruption from our systems. See you then for our latest program called Governance, Corruption, and Justice.
For the news in detail. The PPPC government has approached the Inter-American Development Bank for a loan totaling $1,817,764 US dollars to support the development and implementation of a medium-term development strategy, which will leverage the country's emerging oil and gas revenues. The strategy would be used to grow investment, increase employment, and strengthen the economic resilience of the country. To justify the money being requested, it was noted in the document that the Stabroek oil block discoveries have led to an increase in foreign companies setting up operations in Guyana and outcompeting local businesses, in particular small and medium-scale enterprises. To facilitate a broader range of investment and a more diversified, sustainable economy beyond oil and gas in the long term, the IDB stressed that a more strategic approach to private sector development is required, hence the strategy that is going to be developed and implemented. And moving on. ESSO is currently looking for proposals for the provision of a quayside and laydown area on the west bank of the Demerara River to support its expanding operations. As such, it has since issued a request for information seeking detailed operation and technical information from suppliers for meeting ESSO's bid selection requirements for the facility. According to the company, it plans to put in place an enabling agreement for the use of such a facility. Among the requirements listed by ESSO is the ability to accommodate large barges that must have offloading equipment available and must have an established dredge channel to the river's main shipping channel. And moving on, despite recent pronouncements by ESSO that locals represent some 53% of its workforce, at least one domestic union has since raised concerns about the treatment meted out to some of these very workers. In a public missive issued yesterday by the oil and gas branch of GAU, it was highlighted that in some cases, employees who are highly skilled and recipients of specialized training are paid at the national minimum wage of $255 an hour. The union went on to say, and I quote, "To illustrate the preposterousness, a school cleaner presently receives around $403 an hour." As such, GAU went on to note that while the local workers' labor is exploited, the owners are accumulating wealth which generations of their families may not be able to expend, while locals are underpaid and undervalued. And moving on, the Guyana government is yet to finalize and select a law firm or conglomerate company that would be working across state agencies to revamp Guyana's existing legal architecture in order to create the requisite environment to regulate the country's emerging oil and gas sector. This is according to the country's Chief Legal Officer, Attorney General, and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandlal. According to Minister Nandlal, the amount of oil and gas that has been discovered offshore Guyana presents a new challenge for the country, in that managing such an industry requires a special assortment of skills, expertise, and specialty training. To this end, according to Nandlal, the administration decided to seek international assistance and went out to tender on the international market for that type of law firm or conglomerate company that offers that kind of service in a highly specialized way. A company is yet to be finalized, Minister Nandlal disclosed, as he divulged that submissions of interest have been expressed by companies across the world. In other news, as several mining communities located along the Kaieteur River, Region 7, remain severely flooded, there has been an unprecedented increase in cases of malaria and dengue. This state of affairs was recently brought to our attention by miners working in the affected areas. Kaieteur had visited the area along with Region 7 Chairman Kenneth Williams and U.S. Embassy's Civil Affairs team to learn of health concerns that miners are facing. The areas visited were Warudi, Wyoming, Quartz Zone, Aurora, 2 Points, Devil's Hole, and Duquari. It became clear that the recurring health complaints in these areas were malaria and dengue. There were even complaints of typhoid, but according to the miners, recently they have been heavily plagued with dengue and malaria. At Warudi, as the boat approached the landing, it could be observed that a number of the shops and houses were flooded. Some of the buildings were almost covered. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and of course 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We will return after the break.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Residents of Truly Island, located in the Essequibo River, last evening handed over a 26-year-old laborer to police after he reportedly confessed to them that he had murdered his father at a farm. Detectives, after scoring the farm, were able to locate the father's remains. The father, who has been identified only as 59-year-old Antonio, and his son, the laborer, are both from undernaming housing scheme, Essequibo Coast. The laborer buckled and confessed to chopping his father to death following an argument they had while at the farm. The Truly Island residents then notified police ranks and arrived a short while after. They handed over the laborer to the lawmen, who, after searching the farm, were able to locate the man's remains. Meanwhile, a Guyanese man identified as Rishad Rahim was yesterday shot dead and his wife critically injured in neighboring Venezuela. According to information, the man and his wife were attacked by 4 men around 3 hours. The Guyanese couple resided in a place called San Jose de Casual. They had stepped out of their house to head to a gas station. As they were getting ready to enter their van, 2 of the gunmen reportedly entered the back of the vehicle unknown to them and hid. As they were about to drive off, another 2 approached them, according to reports. Upon realizing that he was about to be attacked, a Venezuelan journalist related, Rahim attempted to flee, but the gunmen opened fire. One of the bullets reportedly struck Rahim to his neck and killed him instantly, while his wife was injured. His vehicle crashed into a house a few meters away from theirs. The journalist revealed that the Venezuelan authorities believe that the men who killed Rahim belonged to a gang of bandits called the 12 Disciples. In other news, Region 10 was in full lockdown mode yesterday in protest against the mandatory vaccination policy being enforced by the government. Over 90% of the businesses on both the Mackenzie and Wismar shores were closed, and public transportation services did not operate except for a few taxis. Water taxi operators also halted their operation for the day. In fact, schools that were slated to be reopened yesterday remained closed. While some parents opted to keep their children home, there were others who were unable to send their children to school because of the lack of public transportation. Some owners of transportation services opted to participate in a motorcade that was of the protest. This was characterized by drivers driving the vehicles through the streets of Linden, honking their horns. And now for your COVID-19 update, followed by the page 7 of the Kaieteur News, dedicated to, of course, being blunt. The Ministry of Health yesterday reported that 6 more persons who contracted COVID-19 have died. As a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 647. According to the ministry, the latest fatalities are that of 2 women, a 56-year-old from Region 4 and a 75-year-old from Region 7, and 4 men, an 83-year-old and a 62-year-old both from Region 4, and a 61-year-old from Region 7, along with a 7-9-year-old from Region 3. Within a 24-hour period, 101 new infections were recorded. This has brought the total number of confirmed cases to 26,611. Presently, there are 38 patients in the COVID-19 ICU, 128 in institutional isolation, 2,219 in home isolation, and 3 in institutional quarantine. To date, a total of 23,579 persons who tested positive for the virus have recovered. The Guyana Police Force says serious crime is down. If crime is down, then why are we up against the wall with our pockets riffled and bags emptied and bodies brutalized? Noticeably, the police public relations machinery puts Commander McBean to share the good news with Guyanese, something most likely messaged by the machinery's clever members. Is he being set up as a trusted face to take the fall? Citizens have already come to the realization that those numbers simply do not add up. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.